is the play? Is it play? Dude, I don't know. Make sure this is good. Whenever. Dude, also.
I just wanted to remind everybody, if you haven't gotten a raffle ticket, to make sure you get one. And this talk is the next generation wireless Recon, visualizing the airwaves, with Ben Smith and Joshua Abraham. Ben is a self-taught network engineer and computer consultant. Works on wireless research and client exploits. And Joshua is also a computer consultant, extensive IT security and auditing, wireless security assessments, and has contributed to open source projects such as NIC2. So, thank you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Apologize here if you guys can't hear me. I'm getting over being sick. Joy of joys. Just in case any of our friends have anything planned, I have backup. Go ahead, bring it on. That being said, where was that from? You're getting it, Logan. When we got accepted to speak, I was a little apprehensive, wasn't sure what to expect. This is the first time I've done anything like this, so talked to a friend of mine, H.D. Moore, and he imparted a little bit of wisdom on me, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. You know, when we got into this, we were whoa, a little dark in here. When we got into this, we both kind of were tackling the same issue and what to do with all this wireless data coming in. You know, I'm a very, very visual person. I like to see exactly what I'm working with. And so Jabber and I took a look at the same issue, and we both kind of solved it in different ways. But back to what I was saying earlier, the words of wisdom that HD gave me, he said a very long time ago, up in the Himalaya mountains, there was a monastery, and there they taught some very, very dark, arcane arts. And there was a lot of people that followed it, and over time, the followers have kind of died off one by one by one by one by one, and that kind of only left us one left. And thankfully, we have Jabber here today to teach us all about Perl.
So, the original reason behind this talk was that we were looking at wireless reconnaissance data from different points of view, and we decided that if we would combine our efforts, we could address the problem in multiple different ways. Okay, so let's get started. So, this is a little bit about us. We sort of went through this. So this is the agenda for the talk. We're going to go over our current methods, and then we're going to look at what we've done to improve upon these methods, and then we'll go into some screenshots, some demos, and we'll go into what we can do in the future, and we'll go over QA. So first, we want to say thank you to a large number of people who've made this talk possible. Dragor and Mr. X, they've basically made our stuff work, and we need to thank them. So that's number one. So can we all give a big
round of applause for them, guys. Come on.
You guys make stuff happen. So. We had some help with our slides, so we do want to thank RBG because he made the backgrounds. They're pretty awesome. So thank you very much. And the folks at ShmooCon who made everything possible. So thank you guys. We fear them, and we'll move on. So starting off with Kismet. Kismet is thought of as a reconnaissance tool, gathering information, storing it, and just taking all your data in. Aircrack-ng has been thought of by its name as mostly a cracking tool. However, it can do recon types of things as well. And that's Stumbler for those people who are still using Windows. Sorry. Okay, so Kismet is a wireless reconnaissance tool, gathers information about access points. It allows you to gather GPS information. It allows you to gather information about your clients, their MAC addresses, the manufacturers. You can also do things like spectrum analysis, and you can do cool things with Kismet drones, like wireless IPS types of systems. So it's a really flexible type of piece of software, and it provides a lot of the functionality that you would like when you're doing a wireless audit.
You take a look at Aircrack-ng, and Aircrack-ng has typically been associated with wireless cracking, hacking into access points. I'm pretty sure that just about everyone in this room has used it at least once. But you can also use it for wireless recon, and that's where AeroDump kind of comes into play, and that's really where I started my focus. You take a look at your types of recon data. We've got your basic Kismet with its stable and devel versions, as text, CSV, XML, GPS. You get into Kismet New Core, which is where we've been kind of playing around, which has text, your net XML, which Jabber uses very heavily, GPS, and your standard PCAPs. And then Aircrack-ng, which uses your CSVs, your PCAPs, and hopefully Mr. X, as quoted. XML is coming soon. Go with current visualization. All right. Your current tools for visualizing wireless data. We've got the GPS map, which is ancient. I'm told it's been around forever. We have PyKismet, which I like just because it has Python, but not exactly what I wanted to do. We have Kismet Earth, and we also have KisG Earth. All good options, but not exactly going the direction that we really wanted to go. If you look at your limitations of your current wireless tools, none of them work with Kismet New Core. None of them work with Aircrack-ng. And apparently we're getting pinned with mics here. Your flexible representation of the specific data that we were looking for just wasn't there. So that's kind of the advantage of wrapping your own tools. You can do with what you want. So we're getting complete flexibility in the stuff we're looking for. Moving on with our agenda here. Going on to the goals of what we were looking for and how we went about solving these problems.
So one of the main things that these tools don't do is provide a flexible representation of only the data that's useful for us as testers. So if you're going off and doing reconnaissance, you're gathering information with Kismet, you only want to provide the client with information that's useful for them. So I need to be able to filter out data that's not important to my clients and only represent the useful information. So I wanted a visual representation of Kismet data, correlating it in a database so that I could filter out the information that's not important and generating a nice graphical representation of the data. So in the spring of 2008, I did a proof of concept where I gathered some of the information, put it all in a database, and I used multiple Perl scripts to do so. I stored it in SQLite because I've used SQLite in the past. It's a file-based database, so it sort of worked. I didn't need a network connection to any other location. I didn't need to set up MySQL or Postgres. So it was fairly easy. And I did some filtering on the information, but there was no input filtering. So you just stored everything in the database, and I could generate maps based on the information as I queried it. So what I did was I took a look at the other options, and I looked at improving the software to be able to include other pieces that I would want over time. So I looked at Kismet New Core as it was being developed, and I said, this is where the project is going, so I need to be able to incorporate the XML from Kismet New Core because the CSV has miraculously just gone away. So that's fine. I can parse XML, and I can insert that in a database, and I'll just go about that. And so what I did was I combined all these different scripts together, so you have one single tool, and it inserts the data, allows you to query the database, generating the maps in a flexible way. So we have filtering on the input as well as the output, and we can filter on any piece of information. The input filtering is fairly limited. I mean, you're focusing on only extracting specific things like channel or some information specifically. But then the querying system is very flexible because it's all SQL. So we can generate a map with any particular type of data, GPS data. So you could, in theory, generate a map of only the specific coordinates. So you could look at putting all of your clients in a particular box, filtering on latitude and longitude types of information, as well as client data, because all of the information is being stored. So here's just a couple of examples of the types of filters that we can provide. So channel 6 with the name of Linksys is fairly easy to do. Then we can output everything without encryption. So that's kind of a juicy thing for everybody to look at. And it's just an example of how we can generate the maps.